Pitching is still king in Major League Baseball. Either you have enough starting pitching, you have enough help in the bullpen, or you're going nowhere this season. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe as we get into the biggest stories around Major League Baseball's opening day. And here we go. Be sure to join us live every single night here at the Upside. And welcome into the MLB Hot Stove Daily here at the Upside Sports Network. My name is Michael. Appreciate you guys joining us late on a Thursday evening. Tried waiting as long as we possibly could to get all of the games done before we went live, but sadly there is still one more game still going on. Cubs currently lead the Diamondbacks 8-5 in the top of the ninth inning. A lot of crazy stories around Major League Baseball right now. A lot of bullpens, ultimately blue games for a lot of contending teams today. I think we got a lot of answers as far as where these teams currently stand with their pitching staffs. The Rangers look like they had some really good pitching up until one of their arms that they brought in to possibly close for them lost it for them late. Orioles looked very strong against the Toronto Blue Jays. Several other very dominant pitching performances, including Zach Wheeler for the Philadelphia Phillies, and even a surprise one from Sean Burke and the Chicago White Sox. Overall, just great to have baseball back again. Be sure to hit that thumbs up at the bottom of the video. It means a lot to us if you wouldn't mind helping us out and hitting that thumbs up and liking the video. Subscribe, follow us on X at UpsideSN, and on Facebook, Upside Sports Network. Welcome in, Holly. Appreciate you joining us once again. Great day across Major League Baseball overall. I mean, how good is it to finally have games that matter once again? I know a lot of people are still focusing on the NBA. Some crazy games tonight, including the Lakers and Bulls. Half-court shot buzzer beater that beat the Lakers by the Chicago Bulls and Josh Giddey. NHL, some great games out there. Stars game was absolutely fantastic. And then as far as the whole entree today was baseball for me. I absolutely loved every minute of it that I was able to watch while I was still at work, like you guys were. I'm excited to see what this season really holds. I think the season is going to be dominated by how these teams ultimately turn out to have a pitching staff. Do they have enough starting pitching? How does their rotation look in spots 3, 4, 5? How do they line up in October with their number 1 and number 2 starters? How does their bullpen hold up to get to the ninth inning? And finally, do you have that guy to lock it down in the ninth? Offense, I think, is going to be pretty good for most of these ball clubs that are out there. There are going to be some teams that are going to knock the cover off the ball, that are going to be better offensively overall. And that's just the way it is. Every single year, there's a couple of teams that really outperform the rest. But by and large, offense to me around the league should be pretty good for most of these teams. I think the bread and butter of this season, where it's really going to be decided, is the pitching. Doesn't sound sexy, doesn't sound exciting, doesn't sound any of the things that want to make you watch a game. But guess what? You always talk about pitching, defense. Those are the things that win championships. Still kind of true even today. Yes, there are some of those big aircraft carrier type players, the Aaron Judges of the world, the Juan Sotos, the Shohei Ohtanis, the Corey Seagers, Yordan Alvarez, insert best player on your favorite team here. Those types of impactful players. But by and large, you're going to have to be able to stop them from scoring more runs than you. So let's go ahead and check out some of the scores from around baseball today. All right, as I mentioned, the game that's still going on, Cubs, Diamondbacks, 8-5 still. Look at some of these really good pitching performances we've seen. The Yankees got a really good one out of Carlos Rodon. Orioles got one out of Zach Eflin. I was impressed by how he performed. Barrios was terrible in the first 3 innings. Finally settled down and at least gave them some length in there to save that bullpen a little bit. The Rangers and Red Sox anyway look like an American League Championship Series preview, honestly, to me. That game was well pitched by both sides. Crochet, even though he was having to work a lot in the game, he still looked like he was very dominant against a Rangers lineup that wasn't able to muster much offense against him. The one thing that you could say that they did succeed at was making him throw a lot of pitches and chasing him a little bit earlier, because again, early in the year, you're not going to try to ask your number 1 starter to get you an extra out or 2. But I do think this Red Sox-Rangers series could be foreshadowing what we see in October. The Red Sox, I think, are going to be one of the best teams in all of the American League. They're my pick to win the AL East. They are indeed my pick to get to the ALCS to be able to face these Texas Rangers. Eovaldi was fantastic. Some of the middle relief options that the Rangers did bring in were really, really good. Chris Martin looked fantastic as well. However, Luke Jackson gave up that 3-run home run to Abreu. Abreu had a career day. 1 walk, 3 hits, 3 runs scored, 4 RBIs. He was fantastic in the game. A couple of home runs. 1 home run against Eovaldi, who gave up 2 runs in 6 innings. He was very, very good. Curveball was working well for him in that game. But Crochet, that kick change, or whatever you want to call it anyway, worked really well for him. He was mystifying batters all day. The Rangers, luckily enough for them, were able to spoil a lot of those pitches and get his pitch count up there. But a well-run game all the way up until the 9th inning, when just one pitcher just didn't have it. Now, kind of cycling this back, or kind of tying this into my point earlier in the video, if you don't have these issues ironed out and quickly, you could find yourself on the outside looking in as a contender. So teams that I currently view as a contender, we're talking about the Rangers on the AL side. The Red Sox are in that conversation. On the NL side, you got quite a few of them. You got the Dodgers, you got the Mets, you got the Phillies. Braves are in that category loosely. AL side, I'd say the Orioles, once they add a starter. Yankees could re-enter the conversation depending on what piece they ultimately add to help out their rotation. But there's a lot of good teams that are going to have to figure out these things very quickly. Yankees are going to have to figure out how to go about life without Garrett Cole and be able to, hold down the fort there. Good start to the season for them against a tough Milwaukee Brewers team. Devin Williams records the save against his former ball club. Welcome in Lucas. The Phillies Nats was insane. The Jake Burger walk. I did not catch the Phillies and Nats. I did catch a few of the highlights of Zach Wheeler, though. He looks like he had a good day, though. Let's check out a few of these other scores as well. Guardians 7-4 winners over the Royals in Kansas City. Good for them. I like to see that for them, because for the Guardians, it's going to be about proving last year wasn't a fluke. Royals, I think, are going to have to prove that they have enough offense to be able to get across the finish line here. But I think what they did this offseason should work well over the 162. Astros with a resounding victory against the New York Mets. Soto got a hit in his first at-bat, a single up the middle. In his final at-bat, he struck out to end the game against Josh Hader. Overall, a well-played game as well. Mets, acquitted themselves pretty well, even though I think they were overmatched by Framber Valdez primarily. But Holmes, takes the loss there. I thought he was pretty decent. Hader getting the save, kind of locking things down there. Game didn't get out of hand offensively. That's what you really want to see out of this Astros organization right now, is that they're able to pitch their way through things to allow those young guys to settle in at the big league level. It was 3-3, and the Phillies scored 4 in OT. I did see kind of the late game numbers here. Let me see if they have the box. There it goes. Okay, so looking at the numbers, you can see that 4 runs in the 10th inning. Yikes. Look at these bullpens. 3 more runs in the 10th inning for the Guardians. Mets, their lone run came in the 9th. The Reds coughed up the game against the Giants anyway, allowing 4 runs in the 9th. So far, the Terry Francona factor not in effect yet. Rangers, 3 runs in the 9th. Brewers tacked on 1 late to at least make it interesting. Cubs have added a couple more in the 9th to make it 10-5 now. Braves looked like they had a nice start to the day, and then in the 7th inning, their bullpen gave it up. Hector Neris could not record an out. Faced 3 batters. All 3 batters came around to score. White Sox had a really nice day pitching-wise from Sean Burke. As I mentioned, the only Angels run came in the 9th inning. A bullpen win for Tinoco. Look at this game, though. Again, another game blown by the bullpen. Marlins take it late with 2 in the 8th and 1 in the 9th. Twins couldn't quite muster up enough offense to be able to stay in this one. But Pablo Lopez, Sonny Gray anyway, were pretty decent. Well-played game overall. Only 1 error in the game. Tigers and Dodgers. Dodgers were limited in some respects, but you just can see the difference in the bullpen, though. With having Yates back there, with Scott, with having Trinan, and then you're going to get Gratterall back. This is going to be a team that's going to really have a chance to push for the best record ever in Major League Baseball. And then, of course, the Mariners. They got a late 2-run home run from Jorge Polanco to push them over the top there against the Oakland A's. Well, I guess the Sacramento A's. Leclerc took the loss for them, but, the Mariners getting enough offense today against the, Athletics, however you want to call them right now, doesn't necessarily mean this offense, I think, is going to perform enough as the year goes along. I do think we're going to see some outlier performances because it is 1 game out of 162. So, for instance, maybe Luke Jackson, who had been throwing the ball well in spring training, this is his 1 bugaboo to start the season, and then he's going to have a great, next 10 to 15 outings for the Rangers. Could be the case. For the Mariners, Jorge Polanco could very well go back to where he's been the last couple of years offensively as a below-average fill-in position player when injury strikes, emergency fallback option type of a player, or he could go back to being the player we saw earlier in his career with the Minnesota Twins. Fair to say, not a good day for relievers. That's kind of my point here, is the trend I really noticed is a lot of bullpens really cough things up today. A lot of 9th inning rallies here. I would like to see some of these teams act quickly with their bullpens. For instance, the Texas Rangers. They don't have a closer coming into the season. They're going to go kind of closer by committee and see who holds down the job the best. Luke Jackson got the first crack at today and failed. Obviously, he might get 1 or 2 more chances with it. If he falters again, I think they quickly move on to Chris Martin, would probably be the next guy. I think the guy that ultimately should be getting the opportunity here is Mark Church. I think he's got the mentality to be able to hold down the 9th inning. It's just a matter of getting his feet wet at the MLB level and proving that he can get hitters out at the Major League level and then giving him every opportunity to hold down that job. I think there's a good chance with relief pitching being down across Major League Baseball, not just for the relievers in general, but as far as the top-end talent is just not there. There's no Mariano Rivera. There's no Craig Kimbrell. There's no Josh Hader, even his heyday. Aroldis Chapman still going, but again, no longer the same player. Kenley Jansen's no longer the same player. Where's that next wave of elite relief pitcher that's coming on to the big league level? I think teams that recognize the struggles that some of their bullpen arms are having and act quickly, go with a little bit of a youth movement and just see what they have, and if it doesn't work out, act quickly even or 1 more time and try to address things at the trade deadline. I think teams that are proactive in that approach are going to do well this year. For instance, the Rangers, I think, are going to have enough pitching right now in-house to be able to go through a bunch of their options early here. That way they know what they have going into, say, the middle of May, and kind of set their course as far as where they want to go. For instance, we talked a lot about the San Diego Padres needing to offload some salary this offseason to kind of satisfy their finance guys. They needed to trim about $15-ish million off of this payroll to get to the point where they were happy with it. Some of the casualties that we were expecting were Dylan Cease, Robert Suarez, among others. I think there's a good chance that a couple of the relievers there get moved out of San Diego because the demand for relief pitching. Helsley for the Cardinals, anyway, got off to a nice start today. Got the save there against the Twins. I think we're going to see relief pitching prices be really, really high at the deadline. If you have an elite closer, somebody who has some term left as well, you're going to get a pretty penny. So, the name of the game right now is pitching and defense. Your offense, to me, is going to be there across the league. Even some of the worst offensive teams, looking at the Mariners, still have enough pieces to get the job done when necessary. Looking at the White Sox, they don't have much of anything, yet they were still able to scrap across the plate 8 runs today. Offense, I think, across the league is in general in a good spot right now. It's going to be about, can you keep them off the scoreboard enough? And the teams that excel at that in their starting rotation, that don't burn through their bullpen as the year goes along, that have a strong bullpen, a rested bullpen, are going to perform really, really well this year. Lucas, talent you're looking for is in Hollywood. That's all in the Los Angeles Dodgers. I did see the little bit of the game today anyway for the Dodgers. To me, they just have so much talent. They're very top-heavy still at the top of the lineup for me. I would like to see them add more depth pieces to that lineup overall. Otherwise, I think they are by far the best team in the National League, by far the best team in all of baseball, and it's just a matter of time until we hand them the trophy for best record during the regular season this year. Now, whether or not they're able to win the World Series this year, again, short series, small sample size, you never know what's going to happen. But I think the regular season, we go ahead and hand them the trophy for best record for the 2025 season. I think they've already got that sewn up, and it's only been 3 games for them so far. As far as, the trend that I've noticed today is just the relief pitching. I would like to see these teams act quickly. For instance, the Braves, the signing of Neris obviously didn't work today. Maybe they try to do something a little bit different in that middle relief option to try to solve that issue there. Pirates were supposed to be built on pitching and defense, and their pitching really failed them in the 8th and the 9th inning. It wasn't just David Bednar. It was another reliever as well. Some of the more consistent options we've seen in years past are no longer consistent. Bednar, to name one. Aroldis Chapman has been a little bit wild the last couple of years, but he was very good today. I'm excited to see where the season goes. Still very early in the year. But I'm excited to see how these teams adjust to some changes that they're seeing, early in the year. Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face and have to change their plan. What they do to try to alter their course, to act quickly, to be decisive, to get the best product out of your team, to get the best winning team on the field, that's going to matter a lot this year to me. I think teams that act quickly and don't just go off of the back of the baseball card are going to be very, very good this year. I think they're going to be in much better spots going forward as well. For instance, the Rangers, before we even got to the regular season, decided, hey, Evan Carter, you helped us get to a World Series and win it in 23? You're not the same player right now due to injury and missing some development time. You're starting the season in AAA. They make the decision to go ahead and outright Dane Dunning's contract because he wasn't performing well, and ultimately decided to go with Garabito in that long relief role out of the bullpen. Again, it's all about merit right now on these, or at least for the Texas Rangers. It's kind of a trend nationwide. I think you always want to have the best option on the table for whatever the job is, whether that be in our own personal life, at work, or even in a baseball game. It's all about getting that final out. It's all about making sure you have that W at the end of the day. And we'll see how these teams ultimately react. I want to see them act quickly. Last thing I want to see them doing is this number hand-wringing as we get to the end of May, going, well, our bullpen has not performed well now for 2 months. 2 months would have gone by that time before they would even address it or acknowledge that there's a significant problem. I think if you wait that long to address your issues, you're going to be so far behind the 8 ball, you're not going to be able to make up the ground that you lose. So, for instance, Texas, say if Luke Jackson comes out tomorrow and blows another game, and then he comes out in a couple of days after that and blows another one. Obviously, it's a failed experiment. There's going to have to be some decisions made as far as how much you even utilize Luke Jackson. Do you put him in a middle relief option, see if he holds down the fort better in that role, if the closer role was just too much for him? Or do you just need to outright him off the roster, try to give him or get somebody else in there who's going to perform a lot better? Those are some things I'm kind of keeping an eye on across the league, not just with the Rangers, but with some of these bullpens that really had some struggles today. Pirates, for instance, with Bednar, again, he had the blown save there, and I guess you really couldn't call it a blown save. He entered the game with a tie game, gave up the run, and ultimately cost him the game. But look how many games, like I mentioned, were just lost because of that reliever talent. A lot of games went to extras, sure. It's a crapshoot once you get to extras anyway, but the Giants getting 4 in the 9th, Guardians getting 3 in the 10th, just not in a good spot. And then, as you mentioned there, Holly Cubs win 10-6. Excited to see what happens there. Gallen got off to a bit of a rough start anyway today, of 9 ERA. Steele wasn't much better, an 8 ERA, but the Cubs were able to muscle across enough offense to get their first win of the season. They go to 1-2 after suffering the 2 losses in the International Series against the Dodgers. We'll see how their year goes. Diamondbacks, not the start that you wanted out of Zach Gallen. This was supposed to be a team that's led by a very dominant pitching staff, and that pitching staff wasn't there today. It no-showed on opening day. We'll see if they're there tomorrow. All right. Appreciate you guys joining us this evening. We'll be back live again tomorrow night. And then we'll have some new programming updates for you guys over the weekend. So be sure to join us then. Hopefully you guys got to enjoy some great opening day baseball. We'll get into some other headlines around the sport here tomorrow, but just excited to see Major League Baseball back. Opening day, nothing beats it. It's like I was listening to a little bit of the Rangers broadcast while I was at work anyway, and they had a great line. It's like Christmas for baseball fans, and that's kind of what it feels like to me. I know some of you guys may or may not celebrate, but it's just a celebration of the sport, and every team starts out nothing. Every team has a chance to do a little bit better or a little worse than where they were last year. Every fan base has just a twinge of hope for either making a wild card, making a push for a wild card, getting to the postseason, winning in the postseason, getting to the World Series, winning the World Series. Hope springs eternal. And, the rise of the sun, the beginning of every season, gives every single one of these teams renewed lease on life. And I'm excited to see where these teams ultimately surprise us. The start that we got out of the White Sox today from Sean Burke, is this the next great starting pitcher for the White Sox? Or is this just, hey, fluke on an opening day, for him? Are we going to see some issues across Major League Baseball all year long with relievers, since relief pitching has suffered over the last couple of years? The best in the game are no longer, the best in the game, and nobody's really risen to take their spot. Emmanuel Clase is the only one, but he's even been up and down. But we'll have to see how this new iteration of bullpens really works out. I think it's time for a changing of the guard in a lot of different places here. We'll see which teams ultimately act quickly and decisively to get those issues solved. But I appreciate you guys joining us. Be sure to hit that like on the bottom of the video. Hearts in the chat really do help us out as well. Follow us on X at UpsideSN and on Facebook, Upside Sports Network. Y'all have a great one out there. Stay safe, everybody. And hopefully we have some great baseball again tomorrow. A little bit longer live we'll do tomorrow to discuss all things opening day, get into some trends over the first couple of days of the season. And then hopefully we'll have some more updates as far as good health updates from players returning from injuries as we go along here. But thank you guys for joining us. Stay safe out there, everybody. And we'll see you tomorrow night.